Hello and welcome to Technology World on Ome Radio, a program brought to you by the Public Information Section of the United Nations Mission in Liberia. It comes on every Friday at 3:05 in the afternoon, with a repeat on Sunday at 7 in the morning. For the next 55 minutes, we'll be discussing career development in information communication technology. David Kuri, an information technology professional, is my guest on the program today. My name is Robert Boley. Keep tuned. This is Technology World on Ome Radio. Today I have in studio Mr. David Kuri, Manager for Business System Development at the Liberia Revenue Authority. And today we'll be discussing career development in information communication technology. Mr. Kuri, welcome to Technology World on Ome Radio.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm humbled.
Okay, today we are discussing career development in information communication technology. Before we go to this topic, we would like to know a little background about yourself, what motivated you, and how you started your career as an information technology professional.
Thank you for the opportunity and the platform to be able to share this kind of information with our young population. Many of whom I see are interested in technology but don't have the proper orientation in terms of the choice of specialization. In my case, I would say it started some 17, 18 years back, to be precise, some 20 years back. I didn't, at first sight, know what I wanted to do, but I had a motivating factor, which was an older brother who was into the technology world, and because I saw him as a role model, so I decided to go into technology. And as I started studying information technology, I began to understand how information technology impact our world and the things that we do around. Okay. So I started studying. But then I didn't have specifically what I wanted to do or specialize in. But then after my first phase of studies, I started to work. And from the work environment, I was able to identify what I really wanted to do and what I really wanted to specialize in. So I went back to school to do my master's, and then I realized that I actually wanted to specialize in software development and software engineering, which has to do with programming, database administration, and the rest of it. So for at least the past 17, 18 years now, I've worked as a professional in the area, specialized in software development. I've developed from the simplest to the most complex systems, from simple projects to large projects, from national projects to international projects. And I can tell you that it's a very, very interesting field when you begin to understand how information and communications technology affect the world that we live in. Mm-hmm. If you have the right perspective about what technology is and what it does, what it brings to the table in terms of some of the things that we struggle to do, you would appreciate why you should be specializing in one of the areas of information technology.
In your layman understanding, what's the difference between information technology and information communication technology?
Well, there is a key word, communication, and then on the other side you have information. So when we talk about information, you talk about data processing. When you talk about communication, so combining the two bring you to understand that information communication technology is an umbrella word that encompasses a couple of other things. So under information and communications technology, you have devices, you have applications, you have radio, you have television, you have cellular phones, you have computer, you got network, you got hardware, you have satellite, you have, so which you find programming and the rest of it under. So it's an embodiment of everything that has to do with information, that has to do with hardware, that has to do with electronics, that has to do with radio waves. So in one nutshell, this explains information communications technology.
Why should an individual consider choosing information technology as a career path?
If you are keen on the way the world is going, the world is not going back to what it used to be 50 years ago. Okay. The world is evolving, and the world is evolving with technology. And technology is not going backward, it's going ahead. Meaning that the current trend is that the world is moving technology, and you have to find a space within this technology ecosystem in terms of employment, in terms of being useful, in terms of your career path. Mm-hmm. information communication technology is so vast, but offers many opportunities because there are specializations. And it is important for you to be able to find out what is your calling within this ecosystem of opportunities and stick on to one and specialize so that you become useful in whatever you do. And maybe as the conversation goes further, we will explain further, what are the implications and what is the understanding of those specialized areas.
If a young man who's in school, graduated from high school, looking at information technology as a way that he can pursue his education, what advice will you have for him?
The first thing is you have to understand what is the career path when you want to go the technology route.
Okay.
You have to prioritize. First of all, you got to identify the career options under the umbrella of ICT.
Mm-hmm.
There are options. Unfortunately, many people don't understand that there are options. People take it to be one blanket thing that you go into and you are expert in the whole thing. And I say ICT is very vast. It's an ocean that no one has total control over because it has several branches. So you first of all have to understand the options that are there for you. You have to prioritize. Now, out of the options, you have to know what suits you best. What do you want to do? How does it impact you? How does it impact your career? How does it impact your environment? And how do you fit in to that? You have to make comparisons because you got options, right? You're not going to jump in and take everything and start being jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. You have to find your space. You have to find your way. You have to find your path. Then you have to make a choice. And that choice will be what you want to do finally and how you want to do what you want to do. So as a young man coming up, my advice to you mm-hmm. is seek advice. There are trending options today in the world. Mm-hmm. And to the best of my understanding, I think today offers more opportunities in terms of choice than back then, 20 years ago, because you have Professor Google, where you can find tons and tons of information in terms of the choice, in terms of the way the world is moving, in terms of where is technology taking us next, that allows you to be able to make the kind of choice that you should make from this umbrella of ICT. Okay.
How do you decide that this path is right? How do you come to that determination?
Good. First thing that we have to consider that as any other career, there has to be passion. You have to have the willingness to want to do, first of all. And then you have to have aptitude. Aptitude meaning you have to have certain qualities, you have to have certain abilities, which, of course, many people don't take into account in the ICT world. For example, if you were going to study management information systems, if you study outside of Liberia, you will realize that you have to have a strong background in the sciences, precisely mathematics. Is that being considered here locally? I don't think so. That's not the case. For those who had the opportunity to study outside, they will tell you that math is a determining factor. So this is why I talk about the aptitude. You have to know your strength. You wouldn't have studied all through your secondary education, literary courses, and then want to jump straight into the sciences, because everything we do in information technology is scientific. There is no guesswork. 1 + 1 will give you a definitive answer in technology, and everything in technology can be explained.
In other words, you have to know your strength before you decide where you go.
Absolutely. You have to know your strength before you decide where you go. So, for example, if you were coming through high school and knew that you had a strong background in mathematics, I think it would be a good thing to go into the technology world. If you really want to do technology as per the standard and not per our own understanding from the local context, then you will be on the right path, because it requires a lot of mathematics, it requires a lot of reasoning, it requires a lot of logics, okay, which comes with the sciences.
Where should one start this whole career? Should it be from high school level, or at the point of graduating from high school, or in college?
In other systems, it starts from high school. Because other systems that we were opportune to go through, students who intended to do ICT started preparing themselves from 3 years before high school graduation. So they branched out to specialize in the sciences. So by the time you got to college, you were prepared and nurtured enough and understood the basic concepts of technology that would take you or prepare you or propel you for the rest of your studies and your journey in technology. Unfortunately, and I think those who had the opportunity to study outside of Liberia after high school would tell you that they found it difficult because of the weak background in maths from back home. which of course serve as a disadvantage in your studies, because all the guys will assume that if you were going to study information technology, then you should have had a solid background in mathematics.
So your advice should be from high school?
From high school. You must start to prepare yourself from high school. You must start loving the mathematics and the sciences, because that will be the basis of you understanding the logics of information technology. Because it's all digital. And digital has to do with what? Numbers and figures. And figures has to do with what? Calculations. And calculations is what? Scientific.
How easy was it claiming to become a professional?
From the beginning, it was really tough. I can tell you. It's not an easy path. But I think what had served as a stepping stone for me was the passion. And this is where I encourage even the young generation coming up to have passion for what you do. Because it is this passion that motivates you to go beyond yourself. Mm-hmm. The challenges are hard. You don't get there overnight. You don't become an expert after your second year of studies. Mm-hmm. You do become an expert after studies plus practice plus error plus experience. So it wasn't easy, but it was rewarding. And I find it to be a journey where you continue to learn perpetually. It's never that point where I feel that I'm at the level where I should call myself expert and I can't learn anymore. I see myself like learning every day and yearning to learn new things every day.
Have you reached a point where you regretted doing it?
I would do it 10 times again if I had the opportunity. And I will even go higher. I will go more complex, into more complex things, because I understand the essence of life through technology. As a computer programmer, I have seen tangibly how I've changed the lives of people through technology. I've seen how I've changed the lives of the way institutions work and behave through technology. I've seen how processes have been changed, how revenue have been increased, how work environments have improved, how workloads have reduced through technology. Mm-hmm. So if you were to give me the opportunity to do it again in a second life, I would do it again.
You would do it again?
Yes.
Let's look at Liberia. What do you make of people who are pursuing the studies in information technology?
Well, I think we have a far way to go, but it is good that we've started. I see a lot of technology schools around town now. Youngsters, everybody are saying. But I think what's missing is the orientation. So we have to create a platform where we get our youth to understand what is information technology in the first place. Because I think there's a misconception of what information technology is. Commonly, the understanding is that, it allows you to lay cables, you can troubleshoot. But that's just one aspect of information technology. And that's why I say is information and communication technology is an umbrella under which you find different branches, areas of specialization. You have computer programming, you got network administration, you got database administration, you got cybersecurity expert or specialists, you got management information systems managers, you have web application developers, you have robotics, you have artificial intelligence, you have software engineering, you have telecommunications and engineering. So you see that you have a whole range of options, and you have to know where you want to land. Then that will determine where you start from.
So let's go in depth into these options of career path in IT, beginning with a network administrator.
So you see, as I said again, information technology is an ecosystem of electronics. Electronics that manages data. So you have an embodiment of devices, of data, of logic, of programming, all coming together to produce specific and given results. Within this, there are specified branches. Take, for example, you have OMIL. OMIL has so much employees. You set up computers. Now, do you want every time we need to exchange a document that I print the document on a paper and walk to your office? No. There where network administration comes in. So you see the guy who specializes in network administration understands that, first of all, you have to set up a network on which all the computers communicate effectively. On that network, he does file sharing. That is, I'm able to stay to my desk and share whatever document with you. You do printer sharing. And on that network, there is what we call security, because you don't want to have a network that is vulnerable, that is open to anybody for intruder. So this is a whole world by itself. So someone can specialize in network administration and go study it for the rest of his life because it's deep. It allows you to do just anything within the working area or the working space. We could be a local space or a worldwide space.
You named some of these options, so we'd like to know a little bit about them, like server administration, web development. So
I will go straight into software engineering and programming, for example, where I hail from and where I'm specialized. This is an area of problem solving. And this is why if you are doing information technology and you want to do programming, like many guys come to me and say, look, we see that you're successful in what you do, we want to do programming, but you have to understand what programming actually is, okay? These are a set of instructions that are put together, that are written, that are installed on a device called a computer or whatever device that allows that device to behave in a certain way and give certain results. But that comes with a logic, all right? It's a word by itself, it's a language by itself, and under computer programming, you have what we call programming languages. Just as in our country, we have Pele, we got Loma, we got this. Mm-hmm. So if you grew up in an environment where your parents spoke English, what do you speak? You speak English. So when you go to study computer science, you look among those programming languages, all speak to the computer, all do the same thing, all right? And you realize that the environment you work in, the platform that you work with, and your aptitude allows you to be more comfortable with Java or C# or F# or whatever programming language you decide. You choose the language. You can learn one or multiple languages. And some languages have specific advantages over other languages. So this gives you a nutshell of what you should be doing. But before that, if you were studying computer programming, it starts with something which I don't hear many people who say they're studying programming right talk about: algorithms. All right. How many people know what is an algorithm? All right, it's the structure of a program. It's the skeleton of a program. So if I'm about to write a medical software, okay, I can write the entire algorithm of that software, and any programmer from any part of the world can pick up my algorithm and translate that into a programming language of his choice. Okay, so these are things that I think when you want to choose a career path in programming, you should look out for to understand the rudiments of what to expect and what is expected of you.
Another area of specialization?
We could talk about database administration. We could talk about cyber security. Now, cyber security, today the word is going cyber. Everybody talking about World Wide Web. If you want to get information about Omeo today, you go online. If you want to get information on your visa appointment, you go online. So there's a whole ecosystem of online transactions taking place. Mm-hmm. And these websites are like offices. They are like workspaces. Now, do you want to build a house in an environment where there are criminals and have no protection around your windows and all your doors, where anybody can walk in and harm your children and take away your property? No. So it's the same thing about when we talk about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, you build sites, you do transactions, we do online transactions. So cybersecurity experts, what do? They come up with the kind of protocol and the protection that allows your transaction and the access to your website or your web application to be secured from intruders. Because as you know, intruders are people who do not have permission to access certain premises or certain things, all right, who try to do it for maybe malicious reasons or whatever you want to call it. So another specialization is cybersecurity. I don't hear people talking much, and I think this is something that our youth should read about and see how it applies, because this is a growing nation. We're starting from practically scratch, and I think there's a room for all of these new technological areas. We talk about software engineering, we talk about computer networking, we talk about cybersecurity, we talk about database administrator. Now, for a database administrator, to just give an insight of what database administration is, people talk about database. What is a database? All right. In the simple term, it is a logical arrangement of information. Logical arrangement of information, how? If you walk into an office that is manual, that is doing a filing system, you're going to see them with a cabinet. And in that cabinet, they will have files. And those files are related to specific dossiers.
That's the traditional approach.
That's the traditional approach. So that was what was translated into what we call database. So we have related information stuck into a logical drive that allows you to access that record in real time, okay, and as fast as you can. So instead of pulling a file and flipping through the pages with just a primary key or an ID number, okay, I'm using the primary key for those guys who are doing computer science. They know what we're talking about. For the ordinary user, they will ask you for your ID number. And that ID number allows them to pull up your record, and that record give whoever the user is access to the kind of information that they are looking for. So today our word is a database-driven word because almost everything that we do is driven by a database. If you go to do your bank transaction, every single transaction you do is stored into a system, which is a database. If you go online, they keep information about you, your email that you leave, your trail, all right, your transactions on the net. Our internal systems in our different workplaces are stored in databases. We talk about a network. When you do your network configuration, your network setup, there are certain key configurations that are stored to say tomorrow when I re-log onto my computer, I want to see this screensaver.
Okay.
From today onward. What is that? Those are databases that are driving them because they are stored somewhere to say every time this computer logs on, the name David Cully is attached to this screensaver. Please pull this screensaver to the screen, and that's the one he should see. So just to give a summary understanding of what databases are and how they work, for those who have interest in pursuing a career in database, I mean, that's what databases are all about. There is also another area that is vastly developing, not on our side of the world, but in other places, information technology applied to medicine. So if you look at movies today, you will see that people are in hospitals and they have all these tubes attached to them and you have a monitor showing. So one can also specialize in medical information technology, meaning you understand, which is a blend of artificial intelligence, which I didn't talk about. And I just want to bring, I don't know how many of the people aspiring to pursue a career in computer science understand, what what artificial intelligence is about. But artificial intelligence is actually a blend of human reasoning and logics through program to allow systems to make rational decisions. So I give an example. In a real situation, you are driving your car and the traffic light is red, talking about artificial intelligence. Your human mind understands that when the traffic light is red, you should stop. So what artificial intelligence has come to do is to translate this human reasoning ability and capacity into machines and computers and robots to allow them to be able to react and make certain decisions based on external factors, okay, as though they were humans. So in terms of, and the world today is going artificial intelligence to a large extent. And that is why there is something called today Internet of Things. Internet of Things is being able to have
IoT.
Devices, yes, IoT devices, programs, hardware, computers, cars, printers, scanners, to be able to communicate within a given ecosystem. For example, you walk into a supermarket, you take a good from the shelf, when you drop it into your basket, okay, Internet of Things will make it possible for this item that was dropped into that basket to communicate with the supermarket system and log that onto your cart. And so as many items that you're going to drop into your basket, it is logged onto your cart. And as you walk out the door, if you have your debit card in your pocket through your phone, and you are alerted, and that transaction is debited automatically to your card without you talking to a human without human intervention. So I think the world is going artificial intelligence, and that is the reason why I think all of this at the end of the day will be gearing towards maybe artificial intelligence, but in a simplified form, because the technology is evolving.
You are listening to Technology World on Omni Radio, a 55-minute show that looks at the impact of technology in our day-to-day activities, whether as individuals or as a nation. We'll be back after this break.
We'll take a break. We'll see you soon. On Melbourne Radio 91.9
91.5
covers the nation.
91.5
Station that never sleeps.
91.5
on Mill Radio.
Oh la la, chicken. When Batman eating something good, not only eating the boo boo, eating the fella, they told you everything. Anything you do this way will catch up with you.
What you saw is just what you were born.
Then I get plenty of balls, then I get plenty of voices.
What you saw is just what you were born.
Anything you see, because of the light, look at it where you want now.
Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
In a day, you call me Pape.
Pape, stop calling me Pape.
But when the time is coming, you think about your full money. You think about yourself, oh, I will become your honey, oh.
What you saw is just what you were born. Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
The water you see so on top is quiet. But I tell you, my brother, all I need is roll.
Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
Chicken here you see so, they cannot reach the body. Some people sleep in the day, to hustle in the night, oh. Because my brother, all fingers are not equal.
What you saw is just what you were born.
Darkness. I said, my brother, they were wonderful. Chicken here you see so, it can nourish the body, oh. But let me tell you one thing, taste so sweet, yeah. Remember one thing, oh. When you are eating chicken, you are eating the poo-poo, you are eating the feather. I say, my brother, oh.
Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
Darkness. In a day, look at the bus. They hang all day, waiting for the evening to come. Oh. They are begin to fly, yo. Kosa kokane, kono ula biara kayo. Kosa kokane, kono ula biara kayo.
Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
Darkness, nighttime. Then they get plenty voices. Then they get plenty eyeballs. Anything you see, because of the light, look at it with your one eye and wait for nighttime to come home.
Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
In a day, you call me Pape, oh.
Pape,
But darkness is coming.
Pape,
Think about yourself,
stop calling
oh.
me Pape.
Think about your rain, oh. I will become your honey, I say.
Pape, stop calling me Pape.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Some people sleep in a day, to hustle in a night, oh. Because all fingers are not equal, oh, my brother. On top of the river is very quiet, but underneath is rough. Darkness. Darkness. Darkness get many voices. Nathan get plenty eyeballs.
Show your eyes, I said take your time in life. Oh.
Chicken head. I'm a brother never when my way got to What's a coconut? We wanna have a on top of the water. It's so slow. But underneath the water, everything is very rough.
What you saw is It's just what you were before.
Darkness. Like there are many voices.
It's just what you were before. Shut your eyes. I said take your time in life. Papi, so calling me papi. Shut your eyes. I said take your time in life. Papi, so calling me papi. Shut your eyes. I said take your time in life.
On Mill Radio on 90.5 and 91.5 megahertz. 24 hours a day, every day.
Welcome back to Technology World on Omni Radio. Here with me on the program today is David Cooley, an information technology professional, and we are discussing career development in information communication technology. What are some important skills and qualities that are required to be a successful information technology professional?
The first thing is passion. Second thing is passion. Third thing is patience. If you are in a haste, you cannot be a successful ICT specialist. If you're not passionate, if it's about the money, you cannot be a specialist in the area of ICT. So if you see all the guys who have a successful story in ICT, the first thing they will tell you about is the passion. Because it's that passion that drives you to stay up all night long.
All night.
And I remember there was a certain time of my life I had to stop it because of health reasons, that I was working like 18 to 20 hours a day. And it brought me more than pleasure. It wasn't for the pay that I received, it was for the pleasure of it. And to the point that when I got tense and something was bothering me, I just needed to open my computer and start working on another project, scripting or writing a new code, and I'm at peace. It's about the passion. So my advice is, if you want to do ICT, you must be passionate about it.
You must be passionate. Let's also look at obtaining qualifications in the area of ICT, degree and certification. Which one do you prefer? Getting your degree or to be a certified professional?
In my work experience, I realized that the certifications are becoming more and more relevant. And the word is going more certification, because ICT is not about what you say you are or what you say you can do. ICT is about what you can do and how it impacts the environment around you. And that is what the certifications bring to the table, because the certifications are actually meant to ensure that you are specialized in specific areas. So the trend today is certification, but you have to start with a minimum, all right? And that's the reason why a certain number of certifications today is equivalent to master's and doctorate degrees. So not because you don't have that master's degree, maybe you have a BSc and then you went on to have a couple of certifications. Some of them go up to the equivalent of a master's degree because of the weight that they carry in terms of the impact they have.
Let's look at your personal experience getting certified. How did you start about being certified? What was the first certification you received?
Well, so I did my studies in the French environment. And in the French environment, we had two options. They have the mainstream college option. That is, you go, you get BSc, you get master's. Then they have the technical college option, which, of course, each step of the way had an equivalent to each of the degrees in the mainstream universities.
Okay.
That is, each step of the way it was equated to a BSc. At another level, it was equated to a master's degree, and so on. So in the French environment, when you hit the level of an engineer, it is the equivalent of a master's degree. So it's not about the way the mainstream university system equates it is all about the number of years through the technical studies that you do. So you had to do 6 years of studies, between 6 and 7 years of studies after high school to reach the level of a master's degree to become a systems engineer or software engineer, which is exactly the equivalent of a master's degree. And then after that, for the career profile and the career path, then you go on to do certifications for the purpose of your CV and for your personal improvement on the job. And most of the certifications I have today are on the Microsoft platform because I'm solely Microsoft guy, Microsoft certified IT professional, Microsoft database specialist, Microsoft programming specialist. I have a couple of them.
Let's look at Liberia. Looking at the industry, what do you make of it? And where do you foresee the sector a few years from now?
I think there is hope for the future because Liberia is growing, is new to technology, meaning that we have not yet explored our technology potential. And I think tomorrow will be better than today because people will have understood more and more what technology is and how it affects our environment. But maybe because I had the opportunity to work, to study outside of Liberia and work outside of Liberia for many years, so I had a far better understanding of how technology affects our world. I take, for example, when I moved back to Liberia and I looked around and I started telling people about software development and everybody said, no, nobody understands that it's not going to work. And I say it works and I can make it work. And I was able to convince a couple of local institutions, governmental as non-governmental institutions, into the idea of having your own systems by explaining to them how, you have to do comparative analysis of when you say this is my solution. It's not a solution because it's an automated solution. It's a solution because you see practical difference between where they are and where you want to take them. Okay. So that's the power I was able to draw to all of my clients as to this is where you are, this is what you are doing, and after we shall have automated your systems, this is how it's supposed to be, and this is what you stand to gain. So even in the midst of skepticism that it doesn't work, people don't understand it, well, it was not all rosy, but I was able to get a couple of people to understand and accept and sign on to some of my products which are being used in Liberia today and have affected even our governance system, our governance structure, and many other sectors in government today.
Getting the idea to do these things is one thing, but people accepting the idea to implement it is another thing.
I totally agree with you, and that is the reason why I stand to support the idea of localizing our solutions. And in most of my solutions that I've provided, I've localized, contextualized the solution. You don't copy things from outside, bring it and set it down and it works here, all right? Because the here is a whole another reality. It's not a reality to be condemned. It's a reality to understand. It's a reality to adapt to. So if you tell somebody, look, you got to stop writing with your pen and paper to produce your reports, you have to contextualize it and make him to understand how, when he transitions, it's going to be simpler than writing on a paper. It's not about telling him automation is the best, and he must accept it as the best. You must be able to convince him that if he leaves his paper and starts using a ruler to produce his report and moves onto his computer, how does it reduce his work? How much time does he gain? How much does he pull out of working on a computer as compared to working with his manual, paper, pen, and ruler? So once you get people to understand things from that context, they will skeptically move on with you to see when you will fail. But as long as it's working, you see them, they become your evangelists. Then they begin to sell the idea to others that it actually works. So I think convincing people is a problem. It's a global problem that everybody has, but we have to contextualize our solutions.
People complain of the limited manpower of Liberians in the profession.
Yes.
What do you make of it? Is it a reality?
It's a disappointing reality that we don't have the level of competence that we require. And I'm a professional in the area myself. And I say, okay, the best way to understand it, whether it's true or false, we are always importing people from abroad to come and do work here. We bring people from Ghana, we bring people from Morocco, we bring people from Kenya, we bring people from South Africa. And then some may complain that, oh, we got the competence and the skills here, which I don't doubt. You do have people here with the competence and the skill, but not at the level that it should be, or not in the quantity that is required, all right? And so the way I judge myself is, if they bring people from outside to work in Liberia, if somebody is able to spot me too from outside Liberia and take me to do his job on the other side, then I'm equally qualified, which of course I have succeeded in doing. I've done work in Liberia, outside Liberia, for Liberians, for non-Liberians, for Liberian companies as well as multinationals. So this is the kind of attitude that I want, young professionals in the ICT to carry on. People should be able to come to Liberia and spot talents that they can take from Liberia and carry to the. It shouldn't be always the other side. Nobody coming for us. Nobody taking us from carrying us otherwise, because we're not showing anything. We're not proposing anything. So until we see ourselves being sought by people from outside to pick us from here and carry us to the, then we will know that we've reached a level that is on par with the others.
What do you think is the problem? Is it because technology just, one may say, coming to Liberia, or it's just because you don't have more professionals?
It's the lack of passion and a lack of commitment, all right? I've worked with a couple of young Liberians, and they are quite willing. Some are willing. But the general perspective of what technology is, not just only technology, but people are not committed to what they do, all right? There is also the business side. Technology is service-oriented. It's not about laying a cable. Like somebody asks you to come and set up a network, and you set the network up, and you stand there and you argue all day. He's not getting the results that he wants. It's not about laying the cables and laying the network. What is required is the desired results. After you shall have laid the cables, after you shall have configured the network, did you test it? Are the computers communicating as they should? Are the files being shared as they should? Are the servers and the printers communicating on the network as they should? Is the security at the level as the client wanted it, and all of that? Then at the end of the day, you can be judged. But if you would say that, okay, I was asked to come and do the network, I did the network, but your client is not satisfied with the results that he's giving, and you don't care, then there's a problem. So I say there is also the business side of ICT. ICT is service-oriented. It's human relation. You have to make sure that everything you do, your client or your end user is satisfied. And until he's satisfied, your work is not certified.
You as a professional, how challenging has it been with professionals in the sector?
Well, it's difficult at times because you have to explain yourself over and over, because you tend to end up being that person who have utopic ideas. Maybe because people don't understand things from your perspective, or don't understand what it should be or how it should be. Mm-hmm. So people don't understand that, okay, what you're pushing for is the normal thing, and somebody tells you, look, Liberia, none of we can do it, you got to understand all of that. It's been difficult, but I think it's rewarding, because even in the difficulties, we've been able to contribute in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And I think everything we do, even with the difficulties that we are facing, we have contributed and we continue to contribute. It's having impact. And I'm not tired doing it. I'm not tired being here. I'm not tired offering my services. And I'm not tired working in Liberia.
You're not tired working in Liberia. Are we capable to go on par with other countries?
We are capable because I think Liberians have the aptitude, the human intellectual aptitude, not on a science specifically, but just the human intellectual aptitude like any other person. But what I think we need to invest in is we need to invest in training of our people. And when we train our people, we need to provide a platform. All right. So you see people get trained, but the platform is not provided. So it's as useless as not training the person. Okay. So if Liberia should be on par with other nations, if Liberia should be on par with other countries and other professions around the world, we should focus on providing the kind of training that is required as per the standard of the profession, not as per Liberian standard. So I'm saying to say that when we open IT schools in Liberia, we should ensure that those schools are providing curriculum as per the standard in any part of the world, international standard, so that students coming out of those colleges and those schools are able to compete with students coming from any other institute in any part of the world. But if those students that come out of those institutions are just good enough for Liberia, then we still have
it's a problem.
It's a problem. We still have work to do.
What do you think can be done to improve the system?
It's commitment on the part of everyone, on the part of those who are supposed to provide the enabling environment, perhaps the private sector as well as the government and the regulatory bodies who are supposed to make sure that when a school is open and called itself Technology Institute is living up to the standard, and also commitment on the part of the students who want to learn these things. And I like to give this example to say for students encouraged to learn technology today, there is one professor that is very free and that is the most resourceful I've ever seen is Professor Google. You can earn the equivalent of a doctorate degree by being committed to researching on Google. I have learned tons and tons and tons of things that have helped to sharpen me to be what I am today through research on Google. Many of the young people who say they do ICT, they spend most of their time on Facebook. Social media, yes, but the social media that you spend your time on is somebody else's ingenuity. It's someone else's ingenuity. So what are you inventing? What are you creating? What are you learning? Look at other people's photos and comments all day, when you could be doing some research on Google and getting some tangible. You also have YouTube that offers valuable classroom tutorials that you won't get in any institute in the Republic of Liberia, that you get free of charge. So I encourage students to spend much of their time researching, using the internet for research purposes. There is almost, I can say, anything can be found on the internet today. Anything. You go to YouTube, you will see live demonstrations of anything you're studying. So without even going into a classroom, you can stay in your house and become a specialist in anything that you want in the technology world today. Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to talk about before we conclude this program, most especially to students or young people who are seeking to pursue their career in information technology?
My advice is information technology is a very interesting field, and it commands, most especially when you are at the peak of your art in technology, it commands a certain respect. Say, for example, in my career path as a software engineer, as a software developer, as a programmer, it puts you into that place where you sit at the very top of the table because you have to talk with the decision makers as well as the end users. So it puts you in a very privileged position. It puts you in a place where you are privileged to have information that many other people won't have. But my advice is it comes with a lot of patience. It comes with a lot of passion. And we have to be keen on what is trending in the world today in terms of our career path. There are certain things that were very good yesterday that are not trending anymore today. For example, I see many people choosing career path in ICT that is not really up to us. There is something coming out called BI, Business Intelligence. How many people know what BI is? You have all kinds of institutions collecting all kinds of information, like the banks. They collect tons and tons of information. Do you know that we can make valuable use of those information through business intelligence? That if we just collect all the information that the bank collects and make sense of it, you are able to tell who are those clients that are regularly depositing money on their accounts. You are able to determine through business intelligence who are those clients that regularly make payment, repayment on their loans, who are those that are delinquent, what is the percentage, how does it impact the portfolio of the bank, and all those kinds of things. So there's a whole new area that people could explore.
You can determine the geographical location.
The geographical location.
Where this bank is yielding more
profit. To be able to make more investments instead of just wake up in the morning and say, look, we're going to put a bank branch because everybody crying for it in the red light area. But you are able to make an informed decision in the red light area. What is the influx of transaction coming from clients that come from the red light area? How does it impact our portfolio? And how do we get return on investment if we do put a branch there? And what are the risks that we are running? You can do all of this through BI because you have information at your disposal, but they're not well structured, they're not well interpreted. That business intelligence allows you to interpret and push you to make sound and informed decisions. So I was saying people need to follow the trends today in the field. We need to make use of research resources, Google, YouTube, and many others. There has to be a passion, a real passion. And the thing about technology is that it's not a passion that comes today and dies tomorrow. It must be a continuous passion, because that's what is going to push you against yourself and against your will to be the best in your game. there has to be also commitment. You don't start hot, then you go low, then you go cold, you go high, you go low. You must be committed. You must be consistent in what you do. And then there must be a self-push. Self-push means, when you study information technology, many places in the world, kids do a lot of investment on their own because they're passionate. So they get pocket change, and you see them, they spend most of their money on buying new gadgets, trying it out. And they're not complaining that, no, nobody give me money. I say, when I want a laptop, nobody give me. You may have had money to do other things. But because of your passion of what you are doing, you say, look, I got some money. It's supposed to actually be for my Christmas, for me to go borrow my money. But I think the way the season looking, all these things are coming from America. Right now, you can find cheap laptop. And if I get my own laptop, I can install all my program on it. I can do all my work there, all the exercises, I can do it on my own. So people need to develop that kind of self-push. It's not about you wait and until somebody buys you a computer and you're waiting, even though there are opportunities that you could tap into to beef up yourself, and you also have to make yourself available, all right? And one very important thing that I didn't talk about is apprenticeship. You will never become great in this area if you're not willing to go through the process of apprenticeship. That is learning from others. And you have to be humble enough to learn and never tell yourself that you finished learning. You always keep learning. You got to keep that spirit of humility.
Have you identified people to follow you in your path as an individual?
Good. My fervent wish and hope, I had always wished that I could have people to mentor. That's my hope. I want to see young Liberians coming up as hard, crack, core programmers. You're right, I've tried to work with a couple, but I have not, disappointingly, I have not come across anyone that was willing to stay the course and be consistent and be committed. And I'm still willing. I really want to see this team of young Liberians who are willing to tap into the expertise that some of us have to become better than who we are today. So the challenge is out, to people who are interested, and who are willing to make the kind of sacrifice that is required, the numerous hours. And as I said, the career path that I choose, if anybody who's listening to me is a computer programmer, knows exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you become absolutely selfish and selfless, You don't want to talk to nobody. You don't want to be with anybody except your computer. You spend all this. And that's what helps to sharpen your skills, because you have to stay with the things that are changing. You have to understand. And there is just so much information. If you don't spend so much time, you can't grasp all that information. Yeah. So you got to spend a lot of time to be able to get to the kind of place we want to get.
It's been a pleasure having you on Technology World. We look forward to you coming back here to share with our listeners all the topics and all the issues in the sector.
Thank you, Robert. It was actually a pleasure for me sharing all of this information, this platform with you. And you can call on me anytime you wish to contribute to this drive to encourage technology in our country.
That's it for Technology World on Ome Radio today. And if you missed this program, you can listen to its repeat on Sunday at 7 in the morning. Many thanks to my guest David Kuri, an information technology professional, for being on the program. Technology World is a production of the Public Information section of OnMail. For comments and suggestions you may have about the program, don't hesitate to email us at technologyworld@gmail.com, or you can log on to Facebook/technologyworld. My name is Robert Boley. Many thanks for listening.
This has been a production of the Public Information section of the United Nations Mission in Liberia.